Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I'm checking my volumes, and I'm checking my volumes because Mr. B does not like that at the beginning of the show, but also we have bacon in the oven. So this video needs to be, what I'm figuring is about 15 minutes long, including the private group, so that the bacon is maximum crispy, because we don't like chewy bacon. My 11-year-old likes chewy bacon, but he's not here. I waited for him to leave so that I could have good bacon instead of chewy bacon. No, actually, I didn't wait for him to leave, but he had plenty to eat. Don't worry, he didn't starve. Never does. Okay, let's get this party started. But if you hear me say I have to go check on the bacon, that's because I have to go check on the bacon.
So the halving, when we have, the fair value doubles. Well, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, well, no, that's exactly how it works. Because if you cut the block rewards in half of the miners would go out of business because their costs are fixed. So the price in historical halvings has doubled. Not immediately, but over time. Maybe because of ordinals, we don't double this time. Maybe we only go up 50%. So let's say we get to 75 as fair value. Then what happens is we'll get to crypto fall. That's when the craziness starts to happen. That's when the FOMO happens. Then we get into Thanksgiving and everybody goes home. And now we're going to get that FOMO.
Now, what's interesting about what he's saying is I've been through a lot of these things. And I can tell you, I don't know what it is about Thanksgiving, but the first time I really saw one of these things was over a Thanksgiving, and it went crazy. But there's something about that time period and the way the altcoins follow the Bitcoin halving and all of that. He's right about that.
Top. And in the past, that's gone to 2.3 times fair value. So when fair value was 30,000 in the last cycle, we got to 68, 69. This time, let's say we only get 2 times, because there's not as much leverage this time because they cracked down on Binance and others. So let's say we get 2 times, that'd be 150. So the halving, when we have the fair value,
150 is what his math comes to for Bitcoin. And when you hear Bitcoin, it always sifts down into the altcoins, but this time there's Bitcoin ETFs, so all bets are off. You only get one back test and you're in it. Now, this is an interesting chart. Look at this. These are the Bitcoin halvings that have happened before. You look at 2016, there's always a pullback, folks. I've seen this movie several times too. There's always a pullback. This pullback we had this past weekend, my only regret is I was able to buy a little bit of XRP, but I didn't have the funds ready to buy the amount. Plus I got other things going on, but I will continue as long as things are down, as long as the XRP's price does not reflect what XRP really is. XRP's price began in 2017-18, it began to reflect it, and that's when all the bad guys went in motion. So, but ever since then, it has not reflected its true value. Because the cloud has remained over it. But once it has the chance to do it, I'm confident it'll do the same thing that it did back then, or was trying to do back then before all the nefarious actors got involved. And that is, it's going to do better than all the digital assets. I fully expect that. Hong Kong. No, let me tell you, another thing I've noticed is anytime there's manipulation in the crypto markets, look no further than China. So right after this pullback this weekend, now all of a sudden Hong Kong clears Bitcoin spot ETF application. So, and then here's a guy on the street in Hong Kong talking about how they're already advertising everything.
A lot of you guys have been asking about Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong. Well, check this out. There's a giant Bitcoin ad right now talking about the ETF that's imminent in Hong Kong. There's definitely a lot of attention going on here because at the end of the day, when these ETFs launch, they need people to buy, right? So more and more ads, more and more attention, and Hong Kong's trying to push itself to be the center of Web3. So in this financial hub with so many people, we're going to see more of this. I love you guys talking about Bitcoin.
All right, and then we got this one. Wheezy Whales moved 452.8 million XRP to the top 3 exchanges, a mid 5% gain. Weekend price went like all crypto prices dove, and then XRP and all of it have kind of started marching back and getting those losses back. But when I see these pullbacks that have to do with geopolitical things and tax season and all this stuff, when I see that, for me, that's just a buying opportunity, because none of the things that happened had anything to do with the fundamentals of what XRP is. Here's a good example. XRPL, the XLS 66 is the lending protocol, and they're describing what it means.
Yesterday, there was the proposal release of XLS 66, 65 and 64, if I'm not mistaken. And they all play together the role of basically allowing with 66 the lending protocol on XRP Ledger, lending and borrowing natively. It's a gigantic proposal, right? It's just a proposal right now. Again, there's no code. It's just a proposal open to discussion to the community, us. What we want to do also here to talk about exactly that, lending and borrowing on the XRP ledger.
The overarching term is money market. This is something you will read and listen everywhere. It's not really lending and borrowing. Lending and borrowing is just this part, like short-term debt investments. And what you will do as a lender, like we as a retailer, it's also about institutional and wholesale investors, but I talk like for retail. What we will do is we will lend or deposit our funds into so-called pools. On Ethereum, they are called vaults. And somewhere else, it's called funds. It's basically always the same. It's like a pot where money sits. And a borrower, someone who needs funds, because maybe he don't want to sell his assets, he wants to borrow assets, he will take a loan. And he's willing to pay some kind of interest for borrowing, and the interest is managed by someone who is the delegator, the pool delegator. We will talk about them later because that's super interesting and different to the Ethereum side. And there's also one part that is about collateral. So how do you protect yourself as a lender against the default of the debt, in the sense meaning that someone is not willing or maybe isn't able to pay back the assets that he borrowed. So if this happens, it could be that.
Okay, so you get the gist of it. To be able to put our XRP in a pool and earn interest off of it, for me, that's the holy grail. That's the master plan. Check this out. According to Ido Farino at the Paris Blockchain Week, Ethereum didn't even have a presence. But guess who did?
Interesting is, like, this was a super busy event last year, and we were like more in a bear market, right? And what I've seen with other events this year, they've seen a stark difference between last year and this year. Some markets have, recovered a lot. And here it feels pretty much the same. That means as well there's, a real stable flow of people, and it's a well-established event. I think it's really an awesomely curated event, and everybody of relevance is here, and lots of new stuff to discover as well.
All right, and then we have this. This is look, if there was one word to describe what's needed in this whole, as far as XRP goes, and what I see coming because of all the updates and upgrades and all the different things that are going on, is liquidity.
One of the key things about liquidity, I'm going to bring it to the subject kind of close to my heart, which is interoperability. Because I think that liquidity is almost born out of interoperability in the market that we have today. Because I think there are basically dozens of people here. Many of you are building tokenization engines, and other issuance services, so the supply side. There are some providers that provide also the buy side, and if there's no connection between them, these assets that are not trading today, if there's no market that is global, it doesn't scale. So I think liquidity is a core element, and as a result of that, also interoperability is a core element.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. I think for me, interoperability kind of plays into like three kind of key components. One, where you can actually have two different kind of networks actually kind of facilitating the settlement of a transaction. We've done that, on a couple of occasions, and I think that's important. There are different ways that you can do that. I think people just assume interoperability means you can just plunk your kind of token on someone else's platform and then that's interoperable. I think it's more kind of the nuance of that. It's the ability to distribute your asset to a variety of different investors, which I think is hugely important. And then that also brings in custody, having custodians, like institutional grade custodians across the different platforms.
There we go. Now, I saw this clip. I think we showed this long time ago back during ETHgate. But this is a clip where Gary Gensler talks about how at MIT they're working with Consensus. And so here he sits in the middle of the lawsuit against Ripple, and Consensus is the one that got the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass that worked on it. Talk about some conflicts of interest.
We have an initiative, and we
This
stand
guy's
this up at
just
MIT
dirty.
from time to time. We have an initiative where 12 financial firms have funded a group called FinTech at the Computer Science and AI Lab. And it's a way a group of companies to jointly fund sponsored research. And it's kind of interesting. We were able in our first year to work with these dozen companies from around the globe. I mean, they range from Citibank to Consensus.
Yeah, that's Joseph Lubin Consensus. Now, here's how this is going to go down. I'm going to go check the bacon. First, I'm going to carry you out. We're going to, in DAIXRP.com, what we did is we posted, this morning I posted the discount link to XRP Las Vegas for the general admission tickets. That's all that's left. And I talked to Brad Combs this weekend. He is heading towards the sellout now. It's closely approaching now. So he's decided he's increasing the prices on April 25th, and he's going to, and then so I have a discount to those general admission tickets, but I also I have another discount. It's pinned at the top of the group, and it's a discount for one of the satellite events, and you can go in there and check that out as well. It's a significant discount. So I'm going to go check the bacon. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I'm checking the bacon. And then we're going into DAIXRP.com, where we're going to talk about what's going on in Israel and Iran and the PetroDollar. 1 second on that bacon.